before we can start developing our application, we need to set up the environment in Windows to make sure that we have all of the dependencies that we will need for our application to work with Ionic and Stencil. Very simple, very straightforward, and follow along and you'll do just fine. The first thing we want to do is optional, but I think it's a good idea. And if you go to this address, which is git-scm.com/downloads, we can download a really good terminal program. And I'll just show you what it looks like on my machine. And this is a really good terminal program because it's very, very much user friendly in terms of being able to scroll and use the scroll button on your mouse and so forth, and you get this lovely effect. I just think it's a better terminal than the one that's built into Windows. There's a new Windows terminal on the way and it looks brilliant. I've had a beta play with it and it looks absolutely stunning. But for the moment, download this one by clicking on the downloads here. And it takes you to downloading section and all that sort of thing, so you can do that straight away and then install it. Now the second thing that we want to do is to install Node. Now Node is a server library which allows transactions to take place on the server rather than in a browser. So we go to nodejs.org and this is the page you'll see. Now when you do it, your number for the versions that are current may well be different, but what I'd suggest is whatever it is that you see in front of you, and at the moment you can see these numbers for mine, I would choose the latest long-term support. So once again, download that. And I haven't actually done this one. And what that gives you is not just the Node software that can run on a server, but it gives you the Node Package Manager. The Node Package Manager is brilliant for taking in libraries from one place to another and installing dependencies really, really easily using npm. And that's going to be working inside our command line, dead straightforward, really easy for us to do. So once you've got that, you can click install. Our next button, accept the terms, just accept everything, and that will go ahead and install the packages that it needs in order to give us the Node server and the command line facilities that we're going to use when we're using the npm CLI. That's the command line interface. So that's good. So what you need to do is get that downloaded and installed. Really straightforward, nothing to worry about. So just finish. And then the last thing I want us to install is a thing called Visual Studio Code. Now this is not Visual Studio. It has become perhaps the most popular of all the text editors for coding that's available now. And you'll find it on this address here, visualstudio.microsoft.com/downloads. And this is the one we want here. Now I've already installed it and it's a really brilliant editor, and once you've installed it, free download, nothing for you to do. I think it may require you to have a Microsoft address, but you've got a college address, your live.co.uk, and that's all that's going to be needed. So once we've got the software installed, what we need to do is just check that we've got the things working correctly. So let's go into our new terminal, our Git Bash terminal. You could use the Windows command terminal as long as you run it as an administrator. So right clicking on Git Bash, run as administrator, accept yes, and let's just get this a little bit bigger for you so that we can see what's going on. What we need to do is make sure that we do have Node and its associated npm command line installed. So in order to do that, it's very simple. So you type node -v, enter, and I've got 10.16.3, which is the one that we saw on the web page. For Stencil to work, it has to be at least 8.6, I think it is. So we're well clear of the threshold for that. So that's really good. And the next thing we want to do is check that we've got npm, because that's crucial for our packages. 6.9.0, so that's perfect. So that's really good. So we know we've got Node, and what we'll now do is we'll customize our Visual Studio Code a little bit just to make it a wee bit prettier. So I'll open up Visual Studio Code, and this is the interface that we see for Visual Studio Code. It's really sharp, it's really clean, and where we want to look now is we want to look in this area here. You'll see that these are the various buttons that will launch the various aspects of the program, and we're looking for extensions. Now it comes with a couple, but there are some that I think are essential, so let's do those first. So there's Live Server, which is that one there. So I'll click Install, and it's been installed. It's as easy as that for the extensions. So another one that I like to do is brackets pair colorizer, and what that does is it does some nice beginning and end bracket colors just so that we can separate the things that we've got to look at when we're looking at the code interface. So that's a really good one. Then let's just think of another one. Beautify, that's a nice one. Beautify. Install. That's installed. There's a couple of NPM ones. So NPM IntelliSense is very good. And the NPM 3.3.0 is the codes and commands. And another one is the material icon, so which means that we get nice icons beside each of the different file types. You can see them all here, and it really is brilliant. You can immediately look at the file and see what sort of file that you're getting. So I'm going to install that. JavaScript. And I'm looking for ES6 code snippets. Cuts down the amount of typing you have to do. So that's really effective. There are some Ionic 3 things, and they kind of still work even though we've moved from oh, there's some Ionic 4 that didn't exist when I looked last week, so install that, and that will means we get some really nice code snippets. And then what we can do is we can start to look at some themes. Now themes are brilliant in Visual Studio Code. So Atom, one dark theme, and I think that's probably the one I will use during the development process, because it's really sharp and clear, and the colors really make things sort of really good for sticking out. So then auto import. That means that when we got libraries, we'll do that. Then autocomplete tags, that's really good. It stops us all having to type so much, because I'm very lazy. I don't know about you. Auto rename. That seems to have been already installed. So that's about enough for the moment. So let's just leave it at that. So that's enough for now. We got it nice and tidy. Got more than enough. If I think of anything as we go through, I'll add it. But at the moment, I think we're okay. And what I'll just do is I'll open up a file to show you what a file looks like inside Visual Studio Code. So I've opened up a file, which is a TSX file, a TypeScript file, and it looks cool. Yep. If you wanted to see an effect of a theme change, it's really quite easy. So File, Preferences, Theme, Sublime, Dark, So you got the themes. I didn't see much happening there actually, so I don't know whether I changed it or whether that's what it was already. But it's really easy to change the themes. So we've got good to go, and in the next video what we'll do is we'll set up our development application and we'll be good to go.